Hi, everybody. So I want to talk to you about leadership and about a particular example of something that made me stop in my tracks, something that I've never noticed before. So for those of you who are not sure about what I'm talking about, is I've been reading the Bible for a long time. I've been a Jewish educator. I ran a school. I led services, still do. And I'm thinking, I'd never noticed that. Okay. So I want to tell you a story. So Moses, you know him, right? He took with the help of God, all the Israelites out of Egypt from slavery to then almost entering the land of Israel. Uh, he was born in Egypt. He grew up in the palace under almost a disguise of he is. Did he know that he was a Hebrew? Did he not know that he was a Hebrew? There's all sorts of commentary, but he did not grow with his mom and his sister Miriam and his brother Aaron. That we know. He lived in the palace. And then there was a situation in the palace, and he saw, two Hebrews fighting against each other. And that was after he saw a Jew and an Egyptian fighting. So he actually killed the Egyptian and kind of hid it. So long story short, he takes all the Hebrews out of Egypt after the 10 plague scenario, with God and Aaron and everybody. And in the desert, and this is the Torah portion that is happening today that Jews all over the world are reading, and that's the name of the Torah portion is Jethro. And Jethro was, in Hebrew, it's Yitro, and he was the father-in-law, right, of Moshe. He was Tzipporah's dad. So the Torah portion starts, and I thought it was really odd as it relates to leadership, because we all know that Moshe was an incredible leader of the Jewish people. I mean, he was there through thick and thin, right? He heard the people complaining, and he hit the rock, and all the story. And then he ended up actually not entering the land of Israel because he did something wrong. But today I found out maybe something else that does not resonate with me. And it's the first time that I actually put up my finger on it. And I wanted to share it with you because it's been on my mind. So it says that if Jethro was hearing all the things that Moshe and God did in Egypt, and how God took all the Israelites out of Egypt. And then it says Yitro had Zipporah and her two sons. And then he made sure to tell Moshe that he's on his way. He and Zipporah and the two children are on the way to meet Moshe, to meet Moses again. And then it says, I'll read in English. And Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, came to Moses with his sons and wife to the wilderness where he was encamped by the mountain of God. And he said to Moshe, I, your father-in-law Jethro, have come to you with your wife and her two sons with you. And then it says, pay attention. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and he prostrated himself, and he kissed him, and each inquired about the other's well-being. Then they came to the tent, and Moshe told his father-in-law everything that Hashem had done to Pharaoh and Egypt for Israel's sake, all that travail that had befallen them on the way, and what Hashem had to rescue them. Okay, so then it keeps on going. Jethro rejoiced over all the good that Hashem has done. There's something missing. There's something missing on the leadership side and on the human connection side. And I find it a bit peculiar. What is missing? Maybe you can stop me here and think what's missing. And here I'm going to continue to talk to you about what I found missing. There's no words, no description about Moshe reuniting with his own wife and his two children. There's not a word about that. And I found it a moment of like bewilderment, like a little bit curious. Why? Why is the Torah not putting an emphasis of a husband and a father meeting his children? And if you recall, these kids, I mean, they haven't really been mentioned a lot in the Torah, and not as much Tzipporah either, his wife. And I thought about leadership and how Moses is really a transitional leader. Instead of a leader like Jacob and Abraham, a leader of their tribe, a leader of their family, here Moshe is becoming a leader of a nation. So it's a transition. Yet, is that an excuse? Am I giving excuses to Moshe because we love him and we admire him? Do we give an excuse? Is there anything similar nowadays of a leader in this caliber? I know that there's nobody in that caliber, but let's just say, big leader, not a leader of a family, not a leader of a small company, not even a leader of a big company, but leader of a nation. Not really connected to his wife and his kids. And I thought of, positive intelligence. You always think, oh my God, am I judging him? Am I judging him? And, I've been thinking a lot about that. I don't know if I'm judging him or if I'm discerning that as a leader, the greatness of a leader is when you are a leader within your home. What has he been teaching his children? We don't know, but what we do know is that his kids did not rise up to any great leadership themselves. And I'm thinking in my own home, how I talk a lot of the time, me and my husband talk about leadership, and we exemplify it and we model it in front of our children since when the kids were little. And I'm learning, model the behavior that you want to see your kids do by doing it yourself. And Moshe, I don't know if he did that. And then I thought of the impact of his own childhood. Here, he was put in the basket at the age of 3 months, sent out somewhere else, raised by the daughter of Pharaoh, knowing probably that he doesn't belong there exactly, but doesn't have the siblings and the family like a lot of us do. And he almost continues that in his own relationship with his own family, keeping them farther away. I know leadership is hard, but what do we take from that? Some lessons we take from our ancestry as some things we want to do, we want to continue, and sometimes we take lessons when we say, no. And I guess this is where I say, no. I think today, in today's age, leaders, first of all, lead at home. And I know maybe that's a very, euphoric way of looking at this. Maybe this is not even a reality, but that's my wish. My wish is that leaders will show who they are in front of their own kids, in front of their own wives, in their own family unit. Learn who they are. What is the name they want to give themselves? And then show it to the rest of the world. Be who you are, truly who you are, first to the people that are the most important to you. And then hoping to inject that passion, that priority, that value of leadership elsewhere. When we talk, in my case, on stages, in front of people, to leaders. And then I remembered, I actually looked at it. I'm going to actually read this to you. Remember the movie, the Exodus movie? where Nefertiti comes and talks to Tzipporah, and she says to her, Tzipporah says, "What do you want from us?" And Nefertiti says, "You need have no fear of me." And Tzipporah says, "I feared only his memory of you." And then Nefertiti says, "You have been able to erase it." And Tzipporah says, "He has forgotten both of us. You lost him when he went to seek his God. I lost him when he found his God." And what I'm hoping is that it's not about finding his God. It's about, and maybe it shouldn't be about finding the God. It should be turning in and owning who you are. I know we're talking about something in the past, but what nuggets of wisdom can you take today and apply it in your own life, in each and every one of your lives? And I'm talking to all of you out there. So what is it? Childhood's trauma, right? Have empathy. Empathy to, and admiration to all that he had done with everything that happened to him in his life growing up. And take a lesson of how you want to show up in your leadership, in your life. So anyway, this is my thought today as it contains to leadership, but also combining with who I am. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend ahead.